I'm here with Grant, and we're going to show what we've been doing with Docker, Rancher, and this whole concept of elastic Fme Server. So with elastic Fme Server, sometimes you have a workflow where you want to be able to dynamically scale up a whole bunch of engines, do some work, and shut down. So this is a workspace that I've been working with Grant. This is a workspace that Grant's created. And it's the controlling workspace. And so basically what we do is over here, we're first going to launch a whole bunch of engines. You may recall in the past we had a sort of a dynamic where the server would try to figure out how many engines to launch. In this one, we're saying, hey, we know we got a big job. We want to launch a whole bunch of engines, get the work done, and then immediately remove those engines. So we've added, this is in 2018, we've added some new capability. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the Fme Server Api. This is on the hub. We have a transformer that's called create queue. So what this does is this is going to use the REST API to create a new queue on the server called scaled engines. Okay, and I'm sure you can imagine how we're going to use that. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to launch. This is a transformer that Grant put together that is going to launch a number of machines, which we specify as a published parameter, and the total number of engines, and also a configuration file, which we won't get into here, but it basically tells Rancher, which is a host environment for managing multiple machines, basically how many machines are going to be run. So
and it has things like the authentication tokens and different things it needs to know about the environment it's launching in.
Yeah, and this is running on AWS right now.
Yeah, right now it's using AWS.
Yeah, but in theory we could run on Azure.
Azure, DigitalOcean. Yeah,
and Rancher makes that a lot easier.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So and so those machines are going to be launched, and they're going to be when the machines launch. Now we've added a new directive to Fme engine that when Fme engine starts, it checks for an environment variable, and if there's an environment variable that's called Fme env engines queues, then when it launches and connects to the core, it tells the core, oh, by the way, here are the queues that I actually want to be part of. And in this way, in this workflow, we're able to use that to ensure that those engines only get the job that is for this elastic job. So anyway, so then we're basically going to submit a job. In this case, we're going to, if we look at the published parameters here, we're going to send 5 engines. We're going to send, that was 5 machines, 20 engines, so that's 4 engines per machine. And then we're going to do 10,000 jobs. Okay, so yeah. And then after the job's done, because the Fme Server job submitter will wait until all the jobs are done, then we're immediately going to scale all those machines down to 0. So you can see there we said 0 machines, 0 engines. So now all those machines that we've launched are going to be shut down. And then last but not least, we remove the queue from the Fme Server. Okay. So before we start this, we'll have Grant to just open the Rancher interface here, so we can see what Rancher is. So Rancher, how best would you describe Rancher?
Yeah, I would describe it as kind of a management tool for managing hosts and also deploying containers, Docker containers onto those hosts. So it gives you a very nice set of APIs in order to launch hosts, add hosts to your cluster, and then nice things for deploying containers. And there's lots of different options for how you want to deploy the containers, on which hosts they go on, and things like that.
Okay. And so you can see even here, these are the containers that are running on. We have this control host, which you can see it's called role as core, and it's got a number of containers running. It's got a server. It has one engine, because we need an engine that's going to run our workspace that's going to launch all the others. Right. And then,
so we basically have one machine that's dedicated to having all the core processes on it, the core containers. So the core, the web, the database, the queue, and then, like Don said, one engine, so we can get this thing kicked off. But then the idea is that additional hosts would be basically engine-only hosts.
Yeah. So we can see it has a number of things on it. It has Fme Server, it has PostGIST. What else does it have on it? Anything else special it had to have on this?
I know. Yeah. The other thing that it's running actually is an NFS server.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So in order to scale across multiple hosts, we need to be able to share our system shares so that the engines can have access to the repository and the other things that it needs. So in order to share that data, we've launched an NFS server. So you can see it here. This is the actual server. It's running in a Docker container.
Yep.
Again, it makes it really easy for us to deploy it using Rancher. And then there's this driver, which is the thing that Rancher uses in order to connect that NFS share into the containers it needs. So as more hosts come up, Rancher is going to automatically take care of launching this driver container on those hosts and then automatically mounting in the NFS share into the engines.
Perfect. Okay. So I think we're good to. So when we run this, we're going to see 5 more hosts show up here.
Right.
And then we'll also look on the server. So let's go to the server right now and go in their engines and licensing. And you can see right now there's just one, we have a nice big engine with up to 999 engines, but we only have one engine running at this point. So we're going to see up to 20 of those. And so let's run this.
Okay, so.
Oh, you're going to run it over there. So smart.
Is this okay?
Yeah, that's great. Because that's more realistic than running on mine. Why not? Absolutely. Yeah. And then we're going to say.
So we're going to say 5.
5 and 20. Number, we're going to say 10,000.
Let's also, we're going to run this. We have a queue dedicated to just that single engine that we have running with the core so that we can direct jobs to that engine.
That's right.
We need to. Okay, so.
And we're going to say run. Okay, so now the jobs are running. So we submitted 10,000 jobs.
That's right.
And how long will it take before we start to see? So we see this one's running. And if I look in the job queue, I should see about 10,000 jobs. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, first it's going to talk to Rancher. First it's going to talk to Fme Server, create that queue.
Yeah.
Then it's going to talk to Rancher and AWS, and it's going to start launching the machines, and then it'll queue up the jobs. So hopefully by now the jobs will be queued. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like 10,000 there.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we go to Rancher. I'll let you drive, and then you can explain. So in a couple minutes, we'll start to see them?
Yeah, it takes about maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes for the machines to come up.
Okay.
But once they start connecting, we'll see them show up in this view. And then we'll see the engines deployed on them.
Cool. Okay. So now it's been a couple minutes, and now we can see all the machines that are starting to be launched. So
you can see each of these machines with the host name IP dash and then a number. Those are the new machines we're adding.
Yeah, and you can see the role of them is all worker. So, whoops, what did I do? I'll let Grant drive. I get excited and I start clicking. So there we go. So where's the role equals core?
Yeah, so that one's just down. It's
it's below something.
Down a little bit here.
There we go.
There we go, Rancher core. So this is where the core is running. It's still here. And then, so we've told Rancher that we want to deploy these engine containers only on hosts with role equals worker.
Yeah.
And then we've also told it that we want four per machine, basically. So that's what it's going to do. So as these machines come up, you can see some of them already have engines running on them, and other ones, once they're connected to Rancher properly, they'll start getting their engines.
Right. So is that 4 per machine? Does it just do the 20 divided by number of machines? Is that how it figures it out?
So for this, I've set a memory limit. There's lots of different ways you can do it.
Yeah.
You can tell it, I want this container to take up this many CPUs, or you can give it memory reservation. So that's how I did it with this one. I know how much memory is on each machine, and I basically said each engine needs 4 gigs, and there's 16 gigs per machine. So it's going to do it for me. But you don't have to limit it that way either. If you don't want to, you can set any kind of constraints you want.
Yeah. So now if we go over to Fme Server and we click on engines and licensing, and there we go. You can see. Yeah, and you can see they're running jobs. You can see the jobs running through. So right now we have 17 have connected. So
So
and then if we go over here to jobs running, you'll see all the jobs that are running currently. So it's just trucking through.
And then as soon as all the jobs are done running, it'll scale itself back down. Right?
Yeah, and that takes a couple minutes. So you can see the pattern we've built here. Basically, you have an engine with limited capability. We're able to spin up as many different servers as we want with engines, and then basically do all the work you need to do. And then at the end, we're going to spin them back down. So okay, so we're almost done here. And so I'll go over to Rancher. And you can still see all these machines. So as soon as it gets done, I guess these are going to Rancher's going to start shutting down pretty quick, right?
That's right.
Okay, so
Yeah,
here we go.
should see these machines
So see these machines disappear.
start disappearing.
Yeah. And the nice thing with AWS right now is it is per second billing.
That's right.
So we don't have to worry. In the old days, i.e. probably 5 months ago,
Yeah.
it was per hour. So then
Yeah.
we would do crazy stuff trying to figure out
Yeah,
how
trying to utilize the exact hour or as
yeah.
close as
Oh,
we
you can
get.
start to see. So now inactive. So that machine must be coming down. Removing. Yeah,
Mhm.
inactive.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And then wow, they go down fast. And now there's 2 workers still active. Oh. And soon we're going to be right down to the Rancher, the core machine again. So there we go. So now we go back to server. Awesome.
Yeah, and
Yep.
the nice thing about using
There we
a
go.
separate queue. Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
they're all
gone.
down back to our scalar. Total active engines is 1. So perfect.
Exactly. Perfect.
Great. Yeah. So we're going to blog about this, but this is just one of the things that Grant, working in concert with the server team and the cloud team, and I are up to. So great. Thanks, Grant.
Yeah, thanks, Don.